Hey guys, how's it going? Today I wanted to make a little video about one of my hobbies. As you can tell from the title, it's metal detecting. And so anyways, it's something I've been doing for, well, I guess it started out when I was a kid. I remember my dad going out metal detecting when metal detectors first were invented, and they're nowhere near the machines they are nowadays. But I remember even back then, us going out and my dad finding old dimes and stuff like that. So it's kind of been in my blood. It's always kind of fun. You're never going to get rich metal detecting, but for me it's the history aspect, finding old stuff. So anyways, I wanted to show you some of my finds today, and I'm about to do that. Before I get busy showing you all the finds, let me just start off the video. I figure I'd say it in the beginning. But if it's something that you intend or ever wanted to do, it's awesome. I encourage you to get out and get yourself a machine, and you have to really put in the time to learn your machine. But if you do it ethically. Don't trespass, and clean up after yourself. There's ways of digging these holes to where people don't even know you've ever been there. The way you can cut into sod and fold it back down and whatnot, and as well as take the trash with you when you go. If you find something bad, which you're going to find lots of junk, take it with you. We have our pouches, and we'll have the crap and then the good stuff. So anyways, enough about that. Let's get on to some of my finds from the last 2 years, and I'll show you some of my notable things. So anyways, here's a pile of goodies that I found in the last couple years, and I'm going to show you some notable finds here. One right off the get-go, one of my favorites. This is an old Army Air Force ring. Before the Air Force was the Air Force, it used to be called the Army Air Force back before World War II. And you can see it's pretty worn, but that used to be wings and a propeller, and it's gold, and it's a silver ring. You can see an eagle on the side, and then it's been hit probably a lawnmower or something, so a lot of the ring's gone. But that's a real neat one. This one right here is it's a really tiny ring, as you can see, but what's significant about it is that it is a coin ring. And if you look closely in there, you can see where it's been folded over, and I can tell by the fact under a scope I can see that it had a reeded edge, that it's at least it's not a reeded edge, but the side of the coin has a reed just like this. That's a seated. This is a very old dime, and if you notice, see how on the inside lip there, it's got the reeded ridge or bumps, and it's okay. So if I look on a later dime, it's smooth on the inside there by the Y, and this is a mercury dime. Anyways, it's hard to explain in this video, but this was made with a Barber dime or older. So this could have been made with a seated dime, Barber dime, capped Liberty dime, a very old dime. So anyways, really neat piece to history. This is probably a ring that's who knows how old. Very old though, and really neat find. You can see I get a lot of dimes, a lot of mercury dimes, a lot of Roosevelt dimes. They're all silver. I'm not even showing you the clad coin, the newer coinage that I found. There's a couple Chinese coins that I found, and I don't know which one's which off the top of my head, but one of these is a 1700s Chinese coin, and one's an 1800s Chinese coins. They call them cash coins. And anyways, Chinese brought them with us over in the gold rush period, and they had really old coins they brought. From what I understand, they brought them by the wine barrel load, so there was tons of them. I showed you when I was talking about the ring, this seated dime, and you can see it's been clipped, and a couple different scenarios there. They used to cut coins back in the old days. Now this is 1882, so I would have thought they were over that practice by then. But it's possible it was a cut coin where they were making change, because silver and gold, they were something you could go and trade. But if it was done with a lawnmower or something like that, man, it's a clean cut, and it almost looks like it was sheared by the way that's pinched off there. So I think it was sheared on purpose. Let's see here. Oh, I have found some really neat Indian head pennies. This one, it's really toasty. You can't hardly see it. But this is a Flying Eagle cent, and they were made back in the 1850s. They're only made for 3 years, and they were the predecessor to the Indian head penny. You can just barely see the bird on there. You're going to see you're looking at a non-dug example on the screen right now. And they're really fat. You'll notice they're a lot fatter than normal. And then here is a Indian head penny, but it's an 1863, and they were fat. They were we call them fatty Indians. Now here's a later model one, and you can see one's considerably fatter than the other. Anyways, they were like that for a few years. The fatter pennies, Indian head pennies. This is a shield nickel. They were made back in the 1860s, and this one is it's pretty toasty, but it's one they called with rays, and you can see in between the stars there was little sun rays, and I think those were only a year and a half in circulation. That's one I found back east when I went back with a buddy. And again, it's pretty toasty, but that's an 1860s, 1865, I think, the one with rays, shield nickel. So, lots of buffalo nickels. You can see there, that's an 1820 or 1925 buffalo nickel. One of their favorite coin of mine. So on to some of the bigger finds that I've had. Well, at least bigger as far as being something really neat to me. This one right here, I've got it in a wrapper because it's in really clean shape. You can see it was holed. It's a 1928 French Indochina coin, 20-cent coin. And that's kind of like why I like this hobby so much, is because it tells you so much of the history. And before this, I really wasn't familiar with Indochina, and what it really is let's see, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos, they were occupied by France back in 1800s into the early 1900s. This is a coin that was minted there, and that's actually the Statue of Liberty. And so it was, they were occupied by France. Well, France is who gave us the Statue of Liberty, and this is just a really neat coin. I found it about 8 or 9 inches deep. You can see it was holed, so it's possible someone was using it as a necklace. So I'm not totally sure, but either way, I found it, and man, it's one of my most favorite finds. Right here, this is a King George II halfpenny from the early 1700s, and it's pretty toasty, but you can just make the outline of his head there. And I found 2 of these, and again, really toasty. We found these out in some old fields back in New Jersey, and you may not be able to see it in this video, but anyways, you can just barely identify it. Then kind of the same thing with this. This is a draped bust large cent, and I can just barely make out the draped bust on it, but these were from the late 1700s to the very early 1800s. This right here is probably my most awesome find ever, especially for being found out here in California. I found this earlier this year on a buddy's property, and this is, I don't know if you can recognize the face there, that's Napoleon. And Napoleon Emperor, says there on the front, it's got some good wear to it. Flip it over, and it is a 5 franc, 1811. So to find this in California is just, to me, is just an amazing find. The story that coin could tell, leaving France and traveling across the United States, and I'm guessing it was probably dropped back here in the gold rush times, probably 1840s, 1850, because I'm in here in Northern California. And doing some research, I found out that this was actually legal tender in the United States as $1, or 97 cents or something, but essentially $1. It's the same size as a silver dollar. But 1811 coin, so a 206-year-old coin found in Northern California. Another neat thing too is it's imprinted around the edges with some with some French writing. France. So, awesome find to find here in California. This one's a really neat find I found here last year. This is a California, let's see here, California Midwinter Exposition, 1894. I hope you guys can read it there. It's a coin they had, like, it's almost like a World's Fair that they had in San Francisco, and they called it the California Midwinter Exposition, and it's got the state seal on the front. And this one was one of the few that was gold gilded, gold plated, and it was given to people that came into the fair, or the exposition. So that's kind of a rare find. There wasn't a lot of them minted, and kind of a really, really neat find. You guys can see my half dollars here. This one's a 67, it's 40% silver. And then the Walking Liberty. So the Walking Liberty half dollar is probably one of my most favorite coins in general. And the front is really neat. You know, it's got Miss Liberty there walking along and sunshine. But the back, I absolutely love this coin. That eagle, I don't know, just something about it. I absolutely love that coin. Just an awesome display of art, and you don't really quite see that with coins nowadays. So anyways, you can see I found quite a few half dollars. I found two 1911 Barber halves. This one is in pretty good shape. You can still see Liberty up there on the wreath. I like this coin as well, as far as having that nice eagle in the back. A couple Barber dimes, some Standing Liberty quarters, a Barber quarter. Again, the Indian head pennies. Here's a bunch of they call them war nickels, so if you don't know about them, for 3 years, the United States made nickels with a high content of silver in them. And you can tell them by having this big giant mint mark, which this is a 1943 S. So, for 3 years, they made nickels with silver in them. That was because of the war. They were trying to save the nickel for all the tanks and guns and airplanes and everything else. So, anyway, I got a pretty good stack of them. Some other notable finds. Here's a couple of gold items I found. I got a little 14 karat gold ring and a 14 karat gold bracelet, which those are always nice to find. Oh, here's another 1892 Barber dime that I found. It was in nice shape. Oh, here's a pretty cool one. This is a World War I General Service button. This one right here is a Civil War, I believe, Civil War infantry button. It's in pretty bad shape, but you can see the eye there. This right here is one of my most awesome finds. It's pretty beat up, but this is a War of 1812 naval officers button, and it's got the eagles or an eagle, and then the 13 stars around the outside. I found this back in New Jersey. So much history back there. The War of 1812 went right through there. So, anyways, old button. This was kind of a neat button. I found this out in Nevada. 1800s button. It's a polished granite rock there. Almost looks like there's a little bit of gold in it. RL Paris or something, but just a neat button that I found. And then here's some 1700s buttons. This is an old Tomback button. Found this back east. Of course, you're not going to find this stuff out west. It's what they call a dandy button. Another 1700s. Here's a fired musket ball. Let's see, it hit something. Anyway, some more 1700s buttons. I've got a whole bunch of stuff I found back east. Perfume bottle stop. That's kind of neat. I found it in the same hole as I had another target. That's kind of neat. Here is one of my most awesome finds. This is a silver fork, not silver plated, but a silver fork. and it's got some initials on there. I think it's CB. And I found this metal detecting in an old part of town in Jorgensen 8 or 930. 830, so it's 83% silver. But the neat thing about it has a date inscribed on the back, 5/6/97. And back in the old days, they used to swap the day, so it would be day, month, year. And this one is the 5th day of June 1997, which ends up being a Saturday. And I believe what this was is part of a wedding set fork that I found. So I tried finding records in the town that I live of anybody with the last name B that was married on these dates, and I tried 5/6 and 6/5. I figured it was the 5th day of June because that was a Saturday, not May 6th. And this 97, that's 1897, not 1997. So this is just an awesome find. So anyways, you know, for a year and a half, and I don't do it all the time, but I do metal detect. You know, I try and get out quite a bit. Oh, this one's pretty cool. This one says CD Dunn and Company, Orville, California, and it's good for 1 cigar. And the neat thing about that particular one is that it has my last name on it. So it's pretty cool to find an old token. I ended up researching the place, and it was a little storefront in Orville back in the late 1800s, and it was called CD Dunn and Company. So anyways, just wanted to show you some of the stuff I've been finding over the last year and a half, 2 years. And again, if you're interested in, if you have an old property and you'd like to see what's in your yard, hey, give me a message or write it down in the comments below. I'd love to, you know, come out and check and see what you got. I love finding the old pennies and dimes and stuff like that. Most of the time I just dig junk, and we clean up your yard. But anyways, and if you're someone who's interested in getting into it, like I said, just learn the rules and of doing it ethically, so that you keep the sport alive for many years to come. So anyways,